Good morning, everybody. It's Judith A. Cole. You're listening to Mad Love. Let's get into it. So, I don't know. Human behavior is baffling to me. A lot of it is just so strange. Like, there are a lot of people who are not thoughtful. They're not kind. They don't think about people other than themselves. They're quite narcissistic. And they're so narcissistic, they don't realize they're not great people. You know what I'm saying? Like, walk up to anybody right now and ask them if they think they're a good person. And then the next question is, do you think other people think you're a good person? And most of them are going to say, yeah, I'm a great person, especially men. I'm a great guy. Well, do other people tell you you're a great guy? Do you have evidence that other people feel like you're a great guy? And then they go, well, that's where we have the problem because I'm misunderstood and I'm this and I'm that, and I'm not just vilifying men with this, but a lot of the people that I'm thinking of right now are men. And I was watching a little snippet of something yesterday where the actor, I believe his name is Clifton Powell, just went off. Somebody sent this to me, maybe. I don't remember. But he just went off on this younger black guy who was like, I don't want to get in my 60s and 70s and be so unself-aware that women are afraid to be in a relationship with me, and I don't want to be old and alone and bitter. And it took him a minute, but then Clifton Powell got it and, immediately got furious, started using the N-word and started going off on this guy. And you don't know where I've been. You don't know what, but Clifton Powell has been on this tour of some sort, telling anybody who will interview him that he didn't know real love till he turned 60, and he thought he was a good guy, which to me sounds impossible. I don't know how you can be living your life and wake up 60 years old, and I think he's past that now, and be like, wait a minute, I don't think I'm a good person. There are clues, people. If your children don't like you, if your children don't want to talk to you, it's not them. It's probably you. Yeah? Because it's the residue of years of neglect and frustration and not being seen or heard that makes them not want to talk to you. But you'll hear these guys being like, yeah, it's them. They, this generation is this and this and that. Listen, if you want a life where nobody likes or respects you, that's on you. And you can have that. You can have that. And this guy, and then you wait till you in your 60s to be like, wait a minute, I'm not no good guy. Like, what was the impetus to finally make you be like, wait a minute? Because I'm sure you had a wife or a girlfriend or somebody at 30 that got sick of your ass and broke up with you and moved on and gave you good reasons why she was leaving, and you didn't want to hear them because it was her, not you. And I think if you are willing to live a life where there's no self-reflection, you're going to wake up like that, and you probably will die alone. And it's sad, and that's true for a lot of people. I saw it most recently with men. Like, I'm telling you, Clifton Powell was furious with this younger guy, and he wanted to dismember him. They were at a round table, and people had to try to keep him calm and redirect the energy because he was furious. And I don't know, emotional ignorance is just as real as emotional intelligence. But I don't know if I would keep going around telling people it took me 6 decades to really just wake up and realize, how I was living and how I was treating people. That's a long time. That's a long time to lack that much self-awareness. And here's the problem I found. There are a lot of people in the world who are completely self-absorbed, but they lack self-awareness. They have no idea how they come off to other people. And I don't know. If you're still pissed off about your childhood and you're over, what, 20, go get a therapist. Because, I know people in their 50s and 60s who are pissed off about their childhood. Okay? Well, if you're in your 50s and 60s, you're talking about shit that happened in the 60s and 70s or earlier. You know, get over it. Your parents did the best they could, and I'm going to give you some perspective here. I have so many close friends who worry, and I get it. It's hard to be a mom. It really is, and I champion them every chance I get because it's so important. Somehow in this society, we made people feel like they're less than because they're just a mom. What the fuck is that? There's no society if there's no moms, right? Ugh, I digress. But I'm always like so, frustrated when I hear that because, we all have to make choices, right? We all choose things every day. We decide things every day. And I lost my train of thought completely. It's got to come back. It's got to come. It's got to come back to whatever I was mad about with Clifton Powell. I lost it. It's gone. So I'll go back to Clifton and people I know who I think should probably be in therapy. You should not be mad about things that happened to you as a child. Your parents did the very best that they could. Oh, this was my point. You don't come with an instruction book. And after working in a prosecutor's office, I can tell you, that's what I was saying. Like, moms get so upset, and like, I'm just a mom. But listen, here's the thing. If you can keep your kids, and this is based off of my work, this is what I saw for myself. No one told me this. I'm not extrapolating. This is what I saw. I worked on many, many child sex cases. They're horrific. They're unpleasant. And I never saw anything happening to the child, but I heard their children's advocacy center interviews where they have to talk about what happened to them. And I'm going to say this. If your children are clean and safe, that's like winning the lottery. If you were raised in a household where you were not sexually harmed, you were not physically harmed, and I'm not talking about getting spankings. We all got spankings. If you didn't have to go to the hospital after one, I'm not talking about that. And I do think spankings work. I think a lot of this breakdown in what we see in our society is because people are afraid to discipline their kids. Then the kids get old and they're unruly. I digress again. Here's the point. If your kids are clean and safe, if you've made a point to keep them from harm, you have done, I would say, 90% of what would be called good parenting. Because I know this is going to blow people's mind, and I'm not trying to gross you out on a Tuesday morning. But a lot of times, these kids are getting molested in the home, and the mom knows. They may be molested by an older relative. They may be molested by the boyfriend who mom moved in. They may even be molested by the biological dad. People ask me that all the time. Was that biological dad? A pervert doesn't spare his own children. Sometimes, and this is going to horrify you, sometimes there are people having children expressly so they can molest them. It's an illness. I don't feel sorry for them, but it is an illness. And they are perverted, and they will molest whoever's around. And then sometimes the child that wasn't molested. So there was a case where a little girl, I think, had a slumber party. And these crimes cover every race universally. There was a case where a little girl was having a slumber party. She was about 10 years old, and her best friend was in her bed, And the little girl woke up and found her father standing naked at the end of the bed watching the friend. By the time trial rolls around, the girl who was not molested was like, the daughter was like clearly trying to curry favor with the father. Like, I'm gonna ignore my CAC that I did at the time of the crime, and I've developed this close bond with my dad, and she was blowing kisses to him from the stand. A man who was attempting to molest her friend. She's blowing kisses to him because she wanted his attention. This is some sick shit. But, we had a video, and I worked on it. So as soon as, it came time she was up there blowing kisses and denying everything. We played the video where she was fresh after that incident, and her testimony was used to indict her dad. But that's how deep we're talking. Like, people crave the attention of their parents so bad that she was willing to just lie. And of course, he had given her all this favorable attention because he wanted her to get him out of jail. So it's like, this is some deep, deep shit. So if you are clean and safe, if your parents raised you in an environment where you were clean and safe and you didn't meet harm, and they clothed and fed you, boom, you're a fucking Powerball winner. That's the equivalent of hitting the jackpot, because you don't realize how many people are raised in homes where they're neglected. They didn't have enough food. They didn't get new clothes. I mean, people don't like to talk about how poor some Americans are. And when I say poor, I don't mean black people, because that's the big myth. Like, all the poor people in America are black or of some ethnic group. Hey, it's a lot of poor white people out here. And they don't want you to think about it. It's less about race and more about a kind of person. And there are poor people of every background out here. And a lot of those families struggle. And you don't have to be poor to be molested. That's for sure. That particular crime, child sexual harm, covers every demographic and background. It absolutely does. And the reason why they're not really trying to get rid of it is they never go after the predators. Oh, yeah, we catch a few. I'm telling you, the number of people who never report or don't go to the police is massive. And they're hard cases to try, because you got to get little kids who sometimes have let 5-10 years pass, and they have to get up there and recount all of this in front of their friends and family that they have hid this from, probably. And it's tough, but I'm just saying, if you're sitting around kicking rocks about your childhood, I just want to give you that to think about. If you were safe and had enough food to eat and clothes to wear and had a bike and, a TV, or you could, roam freely in the world without people beating your ass every day, putting you in the hospital, nobody was flying into a drunken rage, or nobody came into your room when you were 8 to rape you. It sounds harsh, but it's very true. There are a lot of people living like that, and you need to be grateful and stop worrying about what you didn't get and who didn't treat you. Grow up. People have some empathy too. Like, where's people's empathy? There are folks out here who are living hand to mouth. And I don't get it. There are a lot of people who are just not generous. I'm not saying give all your money away, but when you hold on to your money all tight-fisted and you act like you can't spare a dime for anybody but yourself, that's exactly what you're going to get. You're telling the universe, hey, I don't have enough money. And it just stays tighter and tighter and tighter. And people say, yeah, it's easy for you to say. It's not easy for me to say. I'm telling you what I know. I have had as many financial difficulties as anybody. You know how hard it is to take on a whole nother grown person's life and take care of them? It's expensive. I didn't design my life for that. I designed my life for me, and then I took on this giant responsibility. And I don't want any praise for that. It was the right thing to do, and I was the person most physically able to do it. So you do it. That's what families do. But I think we just don't show each other enough grace. I think if you know somebody who's taking care of an older person, fucking be nice to them. That shit is hard. Even if you don't think the person is sick, or you don't think, but if you're not in the household, it doesn't matter what you think, because you're not doing anything. And that's exactly the way I felt about it. I'm like, look, all these suggestions, if you're not willing to come and take a shift, you need to shut up. I don't care what you think. I'm not asking your opinion. If you want to come and take a shift, do a few hours, clean some butts, empty some trash, mop my floors. If you want to do some work around here, you can have all the opinions you want, or kick me down some cash. Cool. But if you're not trying to help, I don't care what you think. And I stand on business on that. And I think every caregiver should adopt that attitude, because you're going to get a lot of unsolicited advice. And like I said, if you grew up and you're safe, and you're still mad about your childhood, you need to really, really look inside of yourself and be a better human being. And stop taking that shit out on other people. Your parents did the absolute best they can. And if both of your parents are still alive, hallelujah. Because the unenlightened person, when their parents die, I'm telling you, it's going to fuck you up. And all that shit you were mad about is just going to fester. And guess what? You're going to get sick, because none of it is worth the stress or the anguish or the worry. Just be a better person. And I don't know. I don't know who needs to hear that. I hope they hear it and receive it in the spirit that's it's intended, because we could actually be a lot nicer to each other, especially in your family. I was very thankful. My siblings were super supportive of me. I was scared to make a lot of those decisions for my mom. I was. That's a lot of responsibility. And I didn't want to be the reason why my siblings didn't have a mom. I just didn't. They loved her. I loved her. But it was scary. Like that hospice year, she had so many ailments, and it was like, Jesus, this is scary. It's so much pressure. And then when they die, it's like so much grief and sadness, and in a lot of ways, I was kind of young when my mom died. I was only in my mid 50s, but there are people younger than me who've lost their mom. I had a friend whose mom died when we were in high school. It's horrible. And I apologized to her. I was like, I wasn't as sensitive as I should have been. This is horrible. I don't get it. I don't. We should be more grateful and more thankful. That's the message of the day. And if this message resonates with you, I'm talking to you. Let's just be better to each other. Let's be kinder to each other. The world can be chaos and bullshit, but your family, your world, your coworkers, the people that you see who affect your day, just be kinder. To be kind, period. It costs you nothing, and it makes you feel great. And it'll change your fortunes. I'm not telling people to be nice for something in return, because that's transactional bullshit. But be better, kinder, nicer. And on that, I still don't believe that this attack was real on President Trump. They just find these raggedy people and prop them up and try to make people believe they're killers. I don't understand what's going on. I believe he wanted to improve his poll numbers, because this war is not going well, and he seems like a moron, because he probably is. If you trust politicians, I can't help you. I've been telling you, screaming at you, both parties are the same. They're both bought and paid for by whoever they're bought and paid for, by mostly AIPAC, but there's other groups. There's a lot of evil in this world, and you should ask God right now to deliver us from evil every day. I do. And you should too. Because the truth is going to come out. And if you think these people are voting with your best interest at heart, you're insane. All these people now are so disappointed in Trump. I believed in Trump. Why? Why? Why would you believe in him? That just means you need to really look inside of yourself and ask some questions. And I am not saying that Kamala Harris was the answer. I don't think she was. I think we would be in just as bad a shape, just with different things. Because she is no scholar. That's my two cents. That's my hot ass take on a Tuesday. Bringing that smoke. But it's necessary. It's necessary. And forgiveness is important. I'm not saying you got to forget what happened to you or how it happened to you or whatever, but you need to have forgiveness in your heart. That doesn't change the past. It doesn't change what happened to you. And it doesn't make you wrong. You can still be right and you can still feel how you want to feel. But I believe that resentment is the biggest inflammatory, physically, spiritually. It's a malignant thing that will hold you back in every way. So just be kinder. Open your mind, open your heart. God loves a forgiving heart because it's hard. It's hard to forgive. And for some of y'all, it's hard to be forgiven. But you're going to have to do it. Otherwise, I don't think you'll move forward. And if you don't move forward, what's the point? You're going to have to come back and do it again. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've had a good time on planet Earth, but this version I do not plan to repeat. I had my ass kicked up and down this whole time. And I've had a good life. I've had a great life. God has been very good to me. I've had a great education. My mom kept me safe and clean. Boom. I've been out of harm's way the majority of my life. And I've been blessed. But this was hard. And I do not want to come back and do it again. Make peace, man. You better make peace or you will be right back here repeating this shit again. I believe that. That ought to be enough to make you change your ways. Take care of yourselves. Happy Tuesday.